Well, President Joe Biden, no longer burdened by what has been, still looks completely lost, giving a long, vacant stare as Kamala Harris talks. Or maybe that's what everyone does when Kamala Harris talks. Have a listen.
It's an extraordinary testament to the importance of having a president who understands the power of diplomacy and understands the strength that rests in understanding the significance of diplomacy and strengthening alliances. It's an incredible day.
Yeah, that was the first time Joe Biden's ever seen Kamala Harris in real life. And just like Joe, there is a reason. They don't like Kamala Harris talking without a teleprompter. Here is her attempt to explain her stance on inflation.
Prices have gone up, and families and individuals are dealing with the realities of that bread costs more, that gas costs more. And we have to understand what that means. That's about the cost of living going up. That's about having to stress and stretch limited resources. That's about a source of stress for families that is not only economic, but is on a daily level, something that is a heavy weight to carry.
Joining us now is journalist and commentator Brad Polumbo. Brad, good to see you as always. Any idea what Kamala Harris is on about?
No, I'm still trying to parse that one. I mean, look, if anybody's good for a bit of incoherent word salad, it's Kamala Harris. And I can't blame Joe Biden for looking so dazed and confused for once, because I kind of was too, trying to understand that. And I think that's why they shield Kamala from scrutiny, right? She's going through a bit of a honeymoon phase right now. She's up in the polls. She's doing well, but she's probably going to try to evade interviews and press conferences that are free-ranging, because when she's actually just given a microphone and let to just go on, you end up with this bizarre kind of she always sounds like a kid who didn't do the reading in class in college, who's just like saying words to fill space that don't actually mean anything. It's something to behold when Kamala is going in full flow.
Oh, it certainly is something to behold, and quite frankly, it is deeply embarrassing as always, Brad. Now, look, the Democrats keep playing this audio of Donald Trump. Here it is.
Well, they're the weird ones, and if you've ever seen her with the laugh and everything else, that's a weird deal going on there. They're the weird ones. Nobody's ever called me weird. I'm a lot of things, but weird I'm not, and I'm up front, and he's not either, I will tell you. JD is not at all. They are.
Brad, the term weird, it's become a clash of the two parties referring to one another as weird. Why?
I don't know. Look, so it all started with Democrats deciding to label J.D. Vance and Donald Trump and other Republicans weird. And now, of course, you have Trump and many Republicans going, nuh-uh, you guys are the weird ones. And I'm like, when did our politics become kindergarten? That's literally what we've descended to here in the U.S. It's like name-calling, juvenile insults. And it doesn't even make sense because, one, let's be honest, there's a lot of weird people in politics. You have to be kind of weird to wake up and decide that this is what you want to do every day, is cover and bury your head into some of the most toxic and nonsensical stuff in the world. But you know what? I'm proudly weird in that sense. And that's the other thing, too. It's like weird isn't inherently bad. So there's some ways of being weird that are bad, but there's other ways that are just, quirky or interesting or even good. So to me, this whole thing where we have the most powerful people in America going back and forth like children, calling each other weird and saying, "No, you're the weird one. No, to me, it's just kind of laughable, but it's in another sense kind of a microism of where we're at in American politics and just how far into the gutter we have descended.
Oh my goodness, it's so sad to see, but you're right, it's like schoolyard commentary, weird, very, very strange. But look, speaking of weird, a Kamala Harris Political Action Committee is soliciting anti-Trump posts from OnlyFans stars, Brad. Now, that's weird. What's going on here?
Yeah, so we had a PAC for the Kamala Harris campaign, or supporting Kamala Harris, actually is reaching out to TikTok creators and offering them large sums of money, as much as $1,500. This was just exposed by the New York Post, for them to create videos supporting Kamala and opposing Trump. This, might sound odd, but is unfortunately kind of par for the course. But what's hilarious is these PR people didn't do their research. So they reached out to Michael Dougherty, who's actually a MAGA, Trump supporting, gay OnlyFans star. And he said, quite hilariously, that I might do OnlyFans, but that doesn't mean I'll whore myself out and my values to Kamala. So it's good to know he has some standards. I think it's sad. It's really, it reeks of desperation, but that when you're bribing people to say nice things about you on the internet and just mass sending this out to anyone with a TikTok following, it does reek a little bit of desperation. But in another sense, Danica, I have to tell you, it is working. TikTok is just full of people just absolutely loving Kamala Harris, and she's become something of a cultural phenomenon, an icon among young people on this app, when they were totally disillusioned with Joe Biden. They'd lost any interest in really supporting him or going to the polls. So whether Kamala will be able to turn this kind of TikTok Gen Z momentum into electoral results largely depends on one thing: whether these kids actually show up and vote. And to be honest with you, history suggests that despite all the memes, no matter how many videos big creators make, most of them won't actually vote. So it might all be for nothing, but it is a hilarious and honestly embarrassing and bizarre story that Kamala Harris's supporters are literally at the point where they're bribing porn stars to say nice things about them. You couldn't make this stuff up if you were trying to write a pilot.
I mean, it's real novel. I mean, the last couple of months in US politics, you could write a whole novel on it. It's just absolutely bizarre. Brad Polumbo, great to have you on as always. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks.